So recently on our club's discussion forum, one of our members, Vignesh, created a channel called Motivation, and in it, Jeremy Jackson, another member, posted gratitude changes attitude. Just as a simple reminder for the day. And I really wanted to focus on this kind of thought because this is something that from the outside of kind of the motivation community can just seem so kind of soft and out there, and I really want to clarify that that's a practical tip, that is a useful, usable tactic, being grateful. Let's talk about what I mean by that. And so just as an example for this, by the way, this is a common thread of Tony Robbins has been preaching stuff for decades. Brian Tracy talks about the same stuff, same sort of thing. Jen Sincero talks about, Grant Cardone emphasizes it. All these self-help, business coaching, personal development kind of gurus emphasize being grateful because it's a place that we can build upon. And let's talk about what I mean by that. One of the things that happens is if someone's not already grateful for the things they have in their lives, and this can apply no matter how much you have, no matter what situation you're in, right? If you are in a very low income situation, if you're in a high income situation, living with family, living alone, have a lot of friends, don't have many, whatever it might be, being aware of what are the things that we do have and how can we be grateful for them, right? And that could be as simple as our health, in the same kind of way that when someone is sick, they often imagine that, as soon as they stop being sick, they're going to be so grateful they can stand up without being dizzy, that they can eat and keep the food down, that they can, breathe normally out their nose without having to constantly keep blowing it. But as soon as they start feeling better, right, they adjust and they don't feel grateful for that at all. And they're back to being bitter, frustrated, angry, whatever other negative emotion might be tying up their attention, making it harder for them to think clearly, to make clear plans and act on them, undistracted from all these sort of more distractive emotions that pull us down. Because one of those problems that happens from that adaptiveness is that someone who's not grateful for what they have when they don't have a lot does not wind up in a situation where they have more, or even if they do through some sort of situation, maybe it's inheritance, maybe it's something else going just sort of surprisingly in their favor. Then we wind up in a situation like there's a politics story, as I'm not going deep into politics, I know it's not my usual thing on this channel, it's not the particular politics going on right now, but not too long ago, not super recently either, Senator Rand Paul was actually assaulted by a neighbor. Again, this is a U.S. senator, wound up in the hospital from broken ribs from being assaulted by a neighbor. Now, the neighbor, who, let's again be clear, lives next door to a U.S. senator, so probably reasonably fortunate, at least materially so, or as factors might be, had some opportunities in his life that went in his favor. Turns out, the reason why he assaulted a U.S. senator, which you can imagine you can probably get in some trouble for, is apparently something to do with the fact that he had a view of a lake until Senator Rand Paul built some trees in his own yard, and now this neighbor's view is no longer clear of that lake. Now, can you imagine if this person is so ungrateful for things going on in their life to reach a level of physical violence and risk criminal assault on a U.S. senator over the fact that his view was of a lake and now it's just of trees, right? And it can sound so absurd. But here's the thing, there's so many things in our lives, in your life, in my life, that somebody else out there, and I know it's hard to wrap my arms around this sometimes, but there are so many people out there who are in a less strong, less capable, less okay, less comfortable situation, that by contrast, by comparison, they really feel the same about the things that to us seem frustrating, that to us seem like a problem, that to us seem like we get hung up on. Hopefully not to the same level of violence and frustration as Rand Paul's neighbor, but that it's about perspective. And this isn't like a first world problem kind of write-off. This has to do with the fact that if someone's unhappy when they have a little, if they do get more in their life, a better position, a better situation, more authority, whatever it might be, more skill, whatever it is that they're after, and they weren't grateful for what they had before, they're still not going to be grateful. And what winds up happening is that inclines us to backslide because we feel no happier no matter what outside, external, other kind of things we're able to build incremental approval on. Whereas when we focus on things we're grateful for and we're counting the blessings in our lives, we can notice when the blessings we're grateful for are increasing, when the blessings we're grateful for are things that are improving, when we have better problems this year than we did last year. It's also like when someone's starting a company, an entrepreneur, whether it's a startup, small business, whatever structure someone's going about, one of the tactics they talk about is SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And strengths is probably identifying what is the entrepreneur or the founder, whoever's strengths that they're building upon. And we focus on the things in our lives that we're grateful for, the connections that we do have, the friendships we do have, what education or training or opportunities or resources we do have. That creates a foundation we can build upon, unlike if we're focused on the things we don't have. And now lastly, one final small note about this kind of notion of gratefulness and, again, things we don't have, is actually within a relatively narrow scope. So I wouldn't promise this for enormous goals necessarily, but near term, I remember this is something that also gets echoed by all these self-help coaches and gurus and stuff about if you feel grateful for something before it's even happened, that can actually help compel you to make it happen. And again, this kind of sounds counterintuitive because you wouldn't think, well, once I feel grateful for already doing it, then why would I bother to do it? And the reason why is because you're not fooling yourself. You know that it's not really done yet, and you want to bring a reality into alignment with your feeling because you already feel how good it's going to be after the fact. So a little example for this, when I was starting my business a long time ago, I was going for a walk, and this is many years ago when I was still in school, and I had some contracts I had to get done. I don't like contracts. I don't like reading them. I don't like making decisions going to them. Not the sort of thing I like to do. But I had to do it. I knew it was a part of founding a business. So on this walk, I'm focusing on how grateful I was to have already finished all that paperwork. And again, I hadn't yet. But I thought how grateful I was to have already finished it. And sure enough, that helped kind of create a blur in time in which, before I knew it, it was done. I was on the other side of it. And I wasn't feeling dread about it. I wasn't feeling fear about it. I was just so eager to bring reality into alignment with where my headspace was of already being on the other side of having that contracts and paperwork and all that kind of stuff sorted out so I could focus on the part of the business that interested me, teaching, training, building resources, opportunities, those kind of things. Something that, again, all these kind of coaches and gurus talk about, the power of being grateful for something before it's done by basically thinking of it in present tense, how grateful I am, maybe even past tense, to have already finished that thing that we haven't done yet. And it helps speak to, again, the power of being grateful, that it's a practical thing. You know, I'm a grounded, secular person. You know, I'm never making appeals here to any sort of magical forces or mysterious powers, things beyond ourselves. I'm talking about law of attraction stuff. All I'm talking about here is that for sake of clarity of mind, for sake of building off of our strengths, for sake of being able to tell when we're improving our situation in life and not just sliding backwards because everything keeps us as unhappy as we were anyway. It all begins from being grateful for the things we have, for enumerating those, for reflecting on the health we do have. And I'll say, everyone's got something. Everyone I know, at a personal level, has at least some sort of health thing, which I'm saying there to say that it doesn't mean you're broken, doesn't mean anything wrong with it. It means that that's something that, helps us maybe be grateful for all the other things we do have in our health. Can't focus on the one thing that's wrong, focus on all the things that are right, and it's going to be a better foundation to build on. That's it for the day. Thanks for always tuning in. I'll have another video for you tomorrow.